This is Project Audion, timeless audio dramas for modern times, created the classic way.
Thank you. I'm Larry Groebe with the Generic Radio Workshop. Now, if you look at the legendary comedians of the 20th century, the people who kept America laughing every week on the radio, it's amazing how many of them shared one thing in common. They all got their start right here on the vaudeville stage. I mean, to name a few, there's Jack Benny, there's Bob Hope, Fred Allen, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, Ed Wynn, Fibber, McGee and Molly, and relevant to today's show, George Burns and Gracie Allen. These folks all learned how to be funny in front of a live audience. For comics, vaudeville was the early 20th century version of the comedy club. Here, you could develop your personality and your act. You'd travel from theater to theater, hopefully moving from small-town gigs to palatial stages in the big cities. In 1929, for example, the comic vaudeville team of Burns and Allen set attendance and box office records in Atlantic City. And then in the 1930s, radio made the top vaudeville comics offers they couldn't refuse, an audience measured in the millions. The challenge for these vaudevillians was now to come up with fresh material every single week, instead of perfecting and performing the same routine for years. If you could project a funny personality into fresh situations, you could achieve comedy immortality on radio and later on TV. Well, zany Gracie Allen and her husband, droll George Burns, did just that. And in fact, George Burns managed almost literal immortality as he kept working until he was nearly 100 years old. For Project Audion, Pete Lutz has penned a Burns and Allen script that recalls the best of their radio work during World War II. Much like Bob Hope and Jack Benny did, we've taken the two of them out on the road, not to some vaudeville palace, but to a naval base to entertain the troops, along with guest stars Henry Fonda and Chico Marx. So, let's imagine ourselves tuned into this show being broadcast live from Northern California, as Project Audion's own live cast imagines this new episode of The Burns and Allen Show.
Swan, the new floating soap from Lever Brothers that's finer than the finest Castile, brings you, live from Naval Auxiliary Air Station Arcata, California, George Burns and Gracie Allen. With special guest star Lieutenant Henry Fonda, plus the music of Chico Marx and his orchestra, and yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now, here's one half of our starring duo, George Burns.
Hiya, boys. Yeah, you know, it's an honor being putting on a show here in Northern California. Say, Bill.
Yeah, George.
I'm looking at the script here, and your line distinctly reads, and now here's the better half of our starring duo, George Burns.
It does?
Yeah, it does, see? Right there.
It does.
But that's not what you said.
It isn't?
No, it isn't.
Well, what did I say?
You said, and now here's one half of our starring duo.
I did?
Yes, you did. And I'd like to know why.
Why?
Yes, why?
Why? Yes. Well, George, I was lured by a bargain.
Bargain? What kind of bargain?
Gracie paid me $5 to change the line.
Gracie paid you? Well, why am I not surprised? And how was that a bargain?
Well, do you know how many cakes of Swan soap I can buy with $5?
Swan soap? Uh-huh. Again, not surprised, Bill.
Well, you know how women like Swan, the new white floating soap.
Bill.
Well, Swan is actually 4 soaps in one. Good for your complexion, for your dishes, for laundry, and for bathing the baby.
4 in 1, right. Bill,
4 soaps in one, George. A good wartime buy.
a good... Yes, it is.
Huh? It is what?
A goodbye.
Goodbye?
Goodbye.
So long!
Oh, Bill, before you go, have you seen Gracie?
Gracie?
Gracie, my wife and your benefactor.
Yeah, I saw her a few minutes ago going into the Admiral's office.
The Admiral's office? Uh-oh. I wonder what she's up to now.
I guess you'll find out soon enough. So long.
Yeah, I guess I will. See you later, Bill. Anyway, Gracie or no Gracie, it's time to get the show started. Pilots, cadets, and air crewmen of the Naval Auxiliary Air Station, Arcata, California. We're very happy to be here and see your smiling faces. We've got a terrific show lined up for you, and
Hello, everybody. Hello, George.
and here's the one we've been waiting for, Gracie Allen.
Hello.
So, Gracie, where have you been? This is the first time in our partnership I've had to start a routine without you, and, well, to be honest, Bill Goodwin is hardly a fit replacement for Gracie Allen.
I know. His legs look all wrong in a pleated skirt.
Yes. Gracie,
Oh, yes, George.
don't avoid the subject. I was here on the stage, and you were not. So where were you?
Well, now, George, I'll be happy to tell you all about it later, all right? It's a surprise, and if I told you, it would spoil the surprise, wouldn't it?
A surprise? We wouldn't want to spoil.
After all, this is wartime, and with all the shortages, we can't afford to let things spoil, not even surprises, right?
That's right. My ration book doesn't have enough coupons for surprises anyway. Can we get the show started, please?
Well, of course, Captain, of course.
Captain?
Oh, Captain Burns, you're so forceful. I always knew you had natural leadership skills.
Captain?
So let's get the show started, Captain. Is Mr. Whiteman ready for the first number?
Captain? Never mind. No, Gracie, Paul Whiteman didn't travel with us. We have a substitute band leader.
Well, but why couldn't he come? The Air Corps has planes that can carry tanks nowadays.
Gracie,
Surely they'd have something that could carry Paul.
it just so happens that Paul had another engagement in Hollywood, so we've got somebody just as good.
Oh, who is it?
Excuse me, is this where they hold the surprise party?
Well, if it isn't Chico Marx.
Hiya, folks. So, at this surprise party, is there gonna be a cake?
There's no surprise party.
Hey, how about an ice cream?
Oh, George, he must have heard me telling you about the surprise.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta have the ice cream. Yeah, you tutti frutti ice cream. Yeah, you tutti frutti.
Chico, there's no surprise party. And there's no ice cream.
Well, that's too bad. I was hoping for some good humor on this show. By the way, I'm very happy to be here on the Lucky Striker program today.
Oh, Chico, don't let our announcer Bill Goodwin hear you making jokes like that. He'd be very upset.
Why he get upset? Don't he like a Lucky's Mary?
Mary Chico.
Yes, Mr. Benny.
Oh, I know what's happening, Mr. Marks. This is the Burns and Allen show, not the Jack Benny program. It's an easy mistake to make. After all, both Jack and George are married to beautiful women.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. I'm George Burns, and this is Gracie Allen.
Okay, if you say so. All you radio people, they sound alike to me.
Well, as long as we have that straight.
So then, what's the name of your sponsor?
The Swan Soap.
Swan Soap. Okay, here's a commercial. This is a chicken wax for swan soup. I smoke a pack of swan every day, and if it did no hurt to my throat, and there's no disgusting aftertaste. How you like that? It's a good, eh, boss?
How do I like it? Right now, I'm wishing Harpo had come in your place.
Oh, not me, George. Chico, is it true that your brother Harpo has a habit of chasing young, beautiful blondes?
Well, that's what they say.
Well, then I'm awful glad you're here instead.
Well, you got nothing to worry about. He only chases natural blondes.
Well, he got you, Gracie.
Well, that's not what I'm shocked about, George.
No? What are you shocked about then?
I'm shocked that I've been up here for 5 straight minutes and haven't had anything but straight lines. I mean, who writes this stuff?
Well, I think Chico's gonna go into his first musical number. And while he's doing that, we'll try to find some funny stuff for you to say. Chico, what's your band gonna play for us?
We play anything you want. Polka, canasta, pinochle.
How about cribbage?
If you got a corned beef, I like it. If you like a corned beef, I like a cribbage.
So he's just as good the second time around. Now, wait, let's get back to the subject. Chico, what melody are you going to do?
I ain't got no melody. I'm a feel fine.
No. The melody, the score.
Hey, how can you have a score if you no play at the card game?
He makes a lot of sense, George.
To you, maybe.
George, I don't know why you even brought up the subject of card games.
Why,
Mr. Marks, what song is your band going to play for us?
I think you'll never ask. You know, Gracie, since I started leading the band, I've been trying to improve my classical repertoire.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry? What are you sorry about?
Oh, you poor man. My cousin Dimitri suffered from a respiratory infection. Oh, it was terrible. Just terrible.
Huh? George, what has she said on here?
she's back, folks. Gracie, Chico doesn't have a repertoire, a respiratory infection. He's got a repertoire.
Well, I'm sure penicillin will clear it up. That's what the doctor prescribed to my cousin Dimitri. Of course, if your repertory is classical, you may need something stronger.
Let it go, brother. Let it go. Where were we?
I was coming around third, but it was called out at home.
Oh, yes. I remember. What tune were you and the boys gonna play?
I think in the vein of a classical music.
Oh, is there something wrong with your veins, too?
I think we creep into the second movement of the beer barrel polka. A 1, a 2, 3.
Marks and his orchestra playing a tune that's been popular for many years. Mr. Marks will be back with another musical selection in his own inimitable fashion in a little while. And now...
Hey, George, did Gracie's cousin Dimitri suffer from inimitability too?
Suffer from it? He spread it to the whole family. And now, Bill Goodwin has a message for you. Hey, Chico, want to get some coffee in the mess hall?
They got anything stronger?
Are you kidding? These are Navy boys, not Marines.
Yeah, it's okay. I bring my own. Let's go.
George and Gracie will be back in a moment, so I'm just going to take a moment to remind you that when you buy Swan, you get a 4-in-1 value. A mild, pure, white floating soap that does 4 different jobs. That's right, Swan will take care of every soap and water job in the house. The same bar of Swan that you use on the baby is also wonderful for your own complexion, your own hands and face. And Swan's quick, hard-working suds will make short work of your dishes. And it'll go a long way towards giving your lingerie and fine things the kind of care they need to help them last and last. So instead of shopping for 4 different kinds of soap, get the new white floating soap that's 4 soaps in 1. Swan. I swan. Do you?
Oh, Bill.
Hi, Gracie.
Oh, Bill, are you busy?
Not too busy for you.
Down, boy, down. You already earned that $5. Are you trying for more? Do you know where my husband is?
Sure, he and Chico Marks just went down for coffee in the mess hall.
Oh, good. I wanted to make sure he was far enough away.
You mean out of earshot?
Oh, do you think that nice Mr. Marks is suffering from earshot, too? First his lungs, then his veins, now his ears. How is that man still on his feet?
He orders extra starch in his pants. Gracie, did you want to talk to me about something?
Oh, yes. I've arranged the most wonderful surprise for George. The base admiral is going to make him an honorary captain in the Naval Reserve Flotilla.
Really? Hey, say, that's pretty nifty, but...
But what?
Well, how do you think George will react? He doesn't like a big fuss made over him.
Oh, it won't be much. Just the Admiral presenting him with a custom-tailored Navy uniform and a cap with gold braid.
Oh, that doesn't seem so bad.
And the bass choir singing Anchors Away.
Still not so bad.
Oh, and the 21-gun salute.
Gracie.
And the fighter planes flying over in formation.
Uh-oh. Hold the phone.
But that's all.
Just a nice, quiet little ceremony.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure he'll love it.
You're sure who'll love what?
Why, Lieutenant Henry Fonda.
Hi, Gracie. Hey, Bill.
Hiya, Hank. We thought you'd have been here sooner.
Oh my, Henry, don't you look simply marvelous in those aviation creams? So tall, so trim, so handsome.
Oh, why, gee, Gracie, well, you kind of make me self-conscious.
What am I, undercooked Navy hash?
Bill, what did you say a minute ago? You thought I'd be here sooner.
Yeah, things have been kind of dull around here, so far.
Now, Bill.
Sorry, let me introduce my aide. Bill, Gracie, this is aviation bosun's mate, 2nd class Montague Ferguson. Monty, these nice folks are Gracie Allen and Bill Goodwin.
I'm pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Ferguson.
Nah, please. The name is Ferguson. There's an R in it.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Petty Officer Ferguson with an R in it?
That was pretty close. You're getting it.
Well, it's because of Monty that I'm a bit late. I brought him a little breakfast in bed and...
What? You brought him
Well, and for some reason, the chef cooked his egg whites a little too long, so he sent them back. And after that, I was driving him here to the air station, and he wanted to stop for cigars. Well, nothing would do but that we visit 3 different cigar stores to find the brand Monty likes.
Yeah, I'm fussy that way.
And so, here we are.
Hank, old pal,
Oh, yes, Monty?
match me.
Oh, sure. Hold on.
Thanks, fella. Hey, old pal,
Oh, yes, Monty?
are you gonna be busy with these folks for a while?
Well, for the next few minutes, yes, if that's okay with you.
Sure. I'm gonna take you into sights of the Enlisted Men's Club. Maybe they're holding a book club meeting or something over there. I'll see you later.
Well, all right, Monty. Thanks a lot.
Nah, think nothing of it. Oh, by the way, I'll be ready for lunch at 11:45.
All right. Did you want me to stop at the exchange and see if they have razor blades?
Huh? What for?
Well, I can't help but notice that your stubble is getting pretty long.
And what's wrong with that?
Oh, nothing, Monty, nothing. We aviation officers believe in letting our men just be themselves.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Nah. So long, folks. Nice meeting you.
I like him, Henry. He seems nice. He reminds me of my brother, Little.
Yeah? Well, I'm pretty fond of him. He's like a big old house cat.
Well, he's certainly hairy enough.
I mean, in his temperament. A little cranky sometimes, but
Give him a saucer of milk and he'll start purring.
pretty much, yeah. I'm gonna see if the Navy will let me adopt him after the war. Oh, say, Gracie, I stopped by the Admiral's office beforehand, and he told me about the big surprise you have planned for George.
Oh, do you think he'll like it, Henry?
Like it? Why, he'll be overjoyed.
Wanna bet?
Oh, Bill, what do you mean?
Of all the services, you have to pick the Navy. For a man like George?
Oh, my. I completely forgot.
Oh, forgot what?
Comes the dawn.
George suffers from terrible seasickness.
No.
Yes. Why, only recently on the Oakland ferry, George suffered horrible bout of seasickness.
No.
Yes. He called out and called out, but nobody came to his aid.
Why not?
Well, I'm not sure, but it might have been because all the other passengers were screaming and running around for life jackets.
Rude of that ferry to sink just that moment.
I know. So what do we do?
What can we do? Everything's already set up with the Admiral.
Say, I think I've got a swell idea.
Well, what is it?
Well, listen, I think we could...
And now, once again, the legendary Chico Marx and his orchestra with the hit song made famous by Glenn Miller, Moonlight Cocktail.
something. Wasn't that terrific, Gracie? Thanks, Chico.
Oh, it was a nothing.
Well, if you say so, Mr. Marks. Thanks for nothing. Oh, George, don't be rude to our next guest.
Guest star? You mean like Henry Fonda? When is he gonna show up?
Well, George, what are you talking about? He's standing right next to you.
Well, hiya, George.
Why, Hank, I'm so sorry. With all the uniforms in the room, you sort of just blended in with the others.
You should really get your eyes checked, George. You know, Henry, George said nearly the same thing to me the last time we had Hedy Lamarr on the show.
Got your uniform blended in with the others?
No, well, not exactly. He said he just couldn't see me in the same light.
I did not say that. I said...
Well, what did you say then?
Well, I simply said... I only said that,
Yes, George.
I said that Hedy Lamarr may be beautiful in her own way, but she can't hold a candle, a lighted candle, to the beauty of my wife, Gracie Allen.
Oh, no, you didn't.
You stay out of this, Goodwin.
Hank, what George actually said was, with Hetty around, Gracie would look better in the dark.
Bill, remind me to fire you. Gracie, I said no such thing. And if I did, I didn't mean it.
George, I completely understand.
You do?
Of course. Why do you think I shut my eyes when you kiss me?
Yeah. Well, I had that coming. Hank, I'm sorry if it seems you had too much to do as our guest star.
Oh, it's all right, I guess. Well,
What is it?
well, I always enjoy the little sketches you and your guest stars put on, and I thought you might have something like that for me to do.
But we do.
Yeah?
Sure, Gracie and I have come up with something I think you'll love.
Really? Oh, that's swell.
Henry, everybody knows that you and Jimmy Stewart are good friends. Isn't that right?
Well, sure. Jimmy and I are great pals.
And he's been in a lot of wonderful films, hasn't he? Well, what's one of your favorites?
His film? Oh, gee, well, that's a tough one.
It wouldn't by any chance be You Can't Take It With You, would it?
Huh? Well, I get you. Sure, that was a real good one. From 1938, I think.
Oh, 1938. I was just a little girl back then.
Gracie, 1938 was only 6 years ago.
Well, oh well. It seems like so much longer ago.
Yes. So anyway, Hank, we were thinking of doing a spoof of You Can't Take It With You, and you'd play Jimmy's part, Tony Kirby.
You know, he's the very handsome rich boy who the heroine, Alice Sycamore, is in love with.
Yes, I remember.
And Alice is very young and lovely, and I thought that since I identify so strongly with her, I'd play Alice.
Well, good idea.
Now, I'll narrate the scene and play some of the other characters, like the grandfather. And Bill, too, and Gracie will play Alice, like she said. And you'll play Tony, all right?
Well, sure. Where do we begin?
In this first scene, the whole family is gathered in the living room. Grandpa Vanderhoff, that's me, and Alice's mother and father, Mr. and Mrs. Sycamore, and some others are sitting around the table. And Alice is telling them about young...
And handsome.
Yes, and handsome Tony Kirby.
Listen, people, listen. I'm not home to dinner. A young gentleman is calling for me.
Well, isn't that nice? Who is it?
I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, Grandpa, but he's calling for me.
Why don't you both stay for dinner?
No, I want him to take you in easy doses. I've tried to prepare him a little, but don't make it any worse than you can help. So don't let a snake bite him, Grandpa, because Well, I like him, and I wouldn't dance for him, Messi, because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
Can't do anything. Who is he, President of the United States?
No, he's Vice President of Kirby & Co., Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
The boss's son?
The boss's son, just like in the movies.
Well,
Oh, dear, I've got to get upstairs and dress. Will you let me know the minute he comes, please?
of course, Alice. There he is. Never mind, Reba. I'll answer it. Now remember what Alice said and be very nice to him. Now in our next scene.
Hey, hold on. Wait a minute.
What's wrong, Henry?
What's wrong? Why, I wasn't in that scene at all.
Not in that scene. Why, that doorbell was the denouement.
The denouement?
Well, yes, Henry. If you hadn't rung that doorbell, I'd still be upstairs waiting for you.
Yes, I can see that. Okay.
Now, in this next scene, poor broken-hearted Alice has canceled her engagement with Tony because she realizes that his parents just don't understand her family, and things won't work out. Alice goes into the kitchen, and Tony comes over to see if he can patch things up, so they send him in after her. Are you ready?
Sure.
I'll bet you Bar Harbor is going to seem pretty dull to the Kirbys for the rest of the summer. Oh, Ed, be careful with those hat boxes.
I've got him, Grandpa. Will you tell Alice that I'll bring the big bag down as soon as she's ready?
I guess you can tell her yourself. Here she comes now. Really, Alice, you could be just as alone here as you could in the mountains. You could stay right in your own room all the time.
No, Grandpa, I want to be by myself, away from everybody. I love you all, you know that, but I just have to go away for a while.
Where's Tony? Didn't he follow you into the kitchen?
Yes, I'm not speaking to him.
Here he comes now.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's wrong now, Hank?
Well, where was Tony?
Where was Tony? He was just coming out of the kitchen.
But I didn't get a chance to say anything.
I'm sorry, Chico. Must have cut in with the music too soon.
Well, let's be a little more careful of that music, Mr. Chico. Mr. Mark, please.
Must have room for a packet, Mr.
Henry, you seem a bit upset.
Well, so far, this whole sketch has been you and Gracie and Bill, and why the heck am I here at all?
Hey, Hank, what are you talking about? The way you swung that kitchen door was masterful.
It was?
Yes.
Look at me, I'm all one big goose pimple.
Well,
So, are you ready for one more scene?
well, I guess so.
I'm sorry, we won't have time for that.
Admiral Tarbarton, attention on deck.
At ease, man, at ease. You too, Lieutenant Fonda.
Thank you, sir.
So I understand we're winding up this radio broadcast with a special ceremony?
Ceremony? Gracie?
No, George, it's not what you think.
Miss Allen is right, Mr. Burns. At first, she wanted to make you an honorary captain in the Naval Reserve Flotilla. But then later, she and Lieutenant Fonda asked me to honor somebody else.
Oh?
On account of, your...
My what?
You're Mal Demure.
My what?
Don't be silly, Henry. George doesn't speak Italian. He means seasickness, dear.
Yes, terrible, just terrible.
Yes, indeed it is, sir. And so, it gives me great pleasure to bestow this honor instead upon aviation bosun's mate, second class, Montague Ferguson.
Please, it's Ferguson. There's an R in it.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Petty Officer Ferguson. Here is your cap with gold braid, along with your new dress blue uniform with 4 gold stripes on each sleeve. How do you like it?
Nah, it's all right, I guess. Say, Admiral, does this mean I can't be aide to Lieutenant Fonda no more?
No, son. This is just an honorary title. You may continue with your previous duties.
Whoa! What a break, Hank, old pal!
Yeah, Monty, we're still together.
And I never had it so good.
George and Gracie will be back to say goodbye in just a minute. But first, I want to remind our listeners that we have all the soap we need in this country, but we haven't any to waste. Save soap. For instance, when you wash your face and hands with Swan, don't make more lather than you need. You'll get plenty in a few seconds. And don't put your Swan in a wet soap dish. A wet soap dish will melt any soap. Just remember, don't waste soap. And now, once more, here are George and Gracie with their guests, Henry Fonda and Chico Marx.
Well, boys, we had a lot of fun here in AAS Arcade. And Gracie and I would like to thank you for joining us.
Yes, and thank you, Henry, for taking time out of your busy day looking after Petty Officer Montague Ferguson.
There you go, lady.
Thank you so much.
I had a swell time, folks. And good news. After the war, I've been given permission to take Monty home with me.
Well, how about that?
Yes, that's wonderful. Oh, and Mr. Marx, I hope your earshot clears up soon and that you're feeling better.
Lady, what? George, what did she talk?
Let it ride, Chico. Just forget the whole thing. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Join us next Tuesday night on CBS for another visit with George Burns and Gracie Allen, when we'll be back in Hollywood and our special guest will be humorist Robert Benchley. This program is broadcast overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. On behalf of Lever Brothers, makers of Swan Soap, this is Bill Goodwin saying good night from Naval Auxiliary Air Station, Arcata, California. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That's our Project Audion original for this time. And our cast was pretty classic, too. John Bell in Alabama, Mel Rose in Pennsylvania, Dana Gonsalves in Texas, Les Marsden in California, Scott R. McKinley in New Jersey, Pete Lutz in Texas, and Robert L. Mills in California. The show was written and directed by Pete Lutz, and the production was supervised by Larry Groebe. We've got dozens of other audio comedies and dramas, both classic recreations and new creations for you to listen to or watch. And we encourage you to like them, comment on them, and share them with your friends. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Mr. Marx will be back with another musical selection in his own inimitable fashion in a little while. And now...
Hey, George! Did Gracie's cousin Dimitri suffer from inimitability?
Okay, we'll take those two lines. We can start that again from That Was Chico Marx.
Okay, great.
Inimitability.
This time it's an inability to say inimitability.
Still,
A little bit.